Hello, students. This is Mrs. Youd, and for my Math 8 class today, we're doing Chapter 3, Lesson 1, which is Parallel Lines and Transversals. Please have out your spiral notebook and open up to a clean page and put this at the top of the page as the title. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect at right angles. For example, if I have line L and line M, and they are crossing at a right angle, I will see a little square in the corner there, and that indicates that the two lines are perpendicular. So what we could write is that L is perpendicular to M. Another way to write that is this way: L is perpendicular to M. So this little symbol here means perpendicular. If you think about it, it kind of looks like perpendicular. It's an upside down capital T, and this angle is a right angle, and that angle is a right angle. Parallel lines are lines in the same plane that will never intersect. For example, if I have line P and Q that are written here, and I wanted to show that those two lines were parallel, what I would do is put a little extra arrow in the middle here, and that little extra arrow means that the two lines are parallel. So I could write P is parallel to Q, and the faster way to write that is this: P and then two little parallel lines to Q. It kind of looks like two L's. So this symbol here means parallel. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up, and now we're going to talk about something specific about parallel lines. So if I have line N and line M, and I'm told that they are parallel, and I know that they're parallel because I'm going to put these little arrows there. Those arrows indicate that they are parallel. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a third line that's going to cross through both of these. This is called a transversal, and so I'm going to give it the letter T. And the letter T stands for transversal. So what happens when a transversal crosses two parallel lines is that the corresponding angles are congruent. And so the corresponding angles are on the same side as the transversal and on the same side as the parallel lines. For example, this angle here and this angle here are corresponding angles. Now, we have seen this term corresponding before when we have talked about similar figures and congruent figures. Remember, the corresponding is when you have two figures. For example, let's say we had this triangle here and this triangle here, then the corresponding angles would be this angle and this angle because they're on the same in the same area, and they are equal to each other. So you've seen this term corresponding before, so hopefully you'll remember that from those previous lessons. Now, something else that's kind of interesting is that vertical angles are also equal. So that means that if this angle and this angle are vertical, and vertical angles create two V's that are opposite each other, that's how you can remember that they're vertical. So that means that this angle is also going to be, these two angles are also going to be equal to each other. So for example, if I knew that this was 60 degrees, then this would have to be 60 degrees, and this would have to be 60 degrees, and this would have to be 60 degrees. So something that's kind of cool then is that we can find all of the other angles as well, because if you remember, a straight line forms 180 degrees. So what this means is that since we have this whole entire line is 180 degrees, we can find this angle because it would be 180 minus 60. So this angle here would be 180 minus 60, and that equals 120. So that means that this angle is 120 degrees. And because of vertical angles, this is also 120 degrees. Now, down here, they also have to be 120 degrees for the same reason. not only is it 120 because the lines are parallel, so this angle is equal to this angle by corresponding, but also these two angles here add up to 180 degrees, and these two angles here add up to 180 degrees because they are linear. So this is 120 and this is 120. So what this means is that if you have only one angle, then you can find all 8 angles if the lines are parallel. Please turn to page 54 of your RPJ. In exercises 1 and 2, we need to use the figure to find the measures of all the numbered angles. In number 1, I am given that we have 112 degrees here. Now that means that all of my angles in all 8 angles, okay, there are 8 of them that are formed, are going, 4 of them, half of them are going to be 112 degrees. So in order to find out what the other half are going to be, we need to subtract it from 180. So I'm going to take 180 and subtract 112, and that gives me 68. So that means that all 8 angles are either going to be 112 or 68. Now, how do I know which one's which? Well, the big angles are going to be 112. So this is a big angle. This one here is a big angle, so that's going to be 112. This one's a big angle, that's going to be 112, and this one's a big angle, that's 112. So that means that all of my little angles are going to be 68. So this is small, that's going to be 68, and this one is also small, this is 68, and likewise here, 68, and here, 68. Now remember that the corresponding angles of two parallel lines are equal. That's why this works, because this angle is corresponding to this angle, and this angle is corresponding to this angle. Remember, it has to be on the same side of the transversal, so they both need to be above the transversal, for example, or they both need to be below the transversal. They also have to be on the same side of the parallel lines, so both to the left of the parallel lines or both to the right of the parallel lines. Okay, so we have all of our angles here, so now we can write our answer. So angle 1, which is here, is 112, and then angle 2, which is here, is going to be 68. So that's my 2 answers for number 1. Okay, so let's take a look at number 2. Number 2, the angle that I'm given is 34. So that means that half of these angles are going to be 34. And to find the other half, we need to subtract it from 180 again, just like we did in number 1. So 180 minus 34 is 146. So this time my little angle is 34 because that's smaller than 146. So my little angle is 34. This one's a little angle, this one's a little angle, and this one's a little angle. And then my large angles are 146 because that's big. So this is a big angle, and angle 3 is a big angle, and angle 7 and angle 5 are the big angles. Okay, so now we're ready to write our answers. We need to write them all down. So angle 1, angle 2, etc. Okay, so angle 1 is here. That's a big angle, so that's going to be 146. And angle 3, I'm going to just do the big angles right now. Angle 3 is also 146. All right, and 7 and 5 are going to be 146. So we'll put that here, and we'll put that here. I should be putting little angle symbols on all of these as well. Okay, so now let's take a look at our small angles. So we have 2, 4, and 6 are all going to be the small angles, which are 34. So it's going to be 34, 34, and 34. Okay, so let's take a look at number 3. So number 3 says if the measure of angle 1 is 150, so that's a big angle, then the measure of angle 6 is going to be what? So we have a big angle is 150, and we're trying to find a small angle. So what we're going to do is take 180 minus 150, and that will give us 30. So that means if the measure of a big angle angle 1 is 150, then the small angle is going to be 30 degrees. So the answer is 30 degrees. All right, let's take a look at number 4. If the measure of angle 3, so angle 3 is here, that's a small angle, is 42. So we want to find the measure of angle 5, which is a big angle. So the small angle is 42. We need to find the big angle. So we're going to take 180 and subtract 42, and we're going to get 138. So that means my answer is 138 degrees. Okay, number 5, if the measure of angle 6 is 28, so let's find angle 6. Angle 6 is a small angle. We want to find the measure of angle 3. So the small angle is 28. Oh, I have another small angle. So that means that since they're both small, then I don't have to do any math. I don't have to do any work. I know that it's going to be exactly the same. So this is 28 degrees. Number 6, you paint a border around the top of the walls in your room. What angle does X need to be to repeat the pattern? So what am I given? Well, I'm given a big angle here. This big angle is 154. I need to find a small angle. So that means that I need to subtract it from 180. So 180 minus 154 is going to give me 26. So that means that X has to be 26 degrees. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching.